Welcome to the Book Club Live. I'm Jenny Snow, and I am here with Pepper Basham.
Yay, I'm so glad.
I've wanted to have her on ever since I read her book, Authentically Izzy. And let me tell you about how I discovered you. Well, I discovered you as a person first, as a mutual fan of Laura France.
Oh, yes.
I saw some post where Carrie Schmidt of Reading is My Superpower was going to some event where Laura was, and you weren't able to make it, so she had a pepper in her pocket.
Well, that was a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Oh my gosh.
That was my first introduction
Pocket
to you.
pepper is what it was called.
Okay.
If Carrie's watching.
Okay, a pocket pepper. But anyways, so I tried Authentically Izzy just because I'd heard everybody talking about it. And I might not have tried it if I had known that a lot of it was going to be correspondence, like emails and texts.
Epistolary.
Epistolary, thank you. That sounds so foreboding.
Epistolary. It does.
But I didn't know it. I didn't even realize
That's probably
it.
good.
Yes. And I got it on audio, and it was during Christmas. And Christmas is just, there's more stress for me during Christmas. Is there for you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a lot of different stuff going on that's not
Yes.
usual.
Yes, and just a lot of things that I want to achieve and accomplish for the ones I love, and it just, I guess I love a lot of people too.
That's a good thing to be.
So, yes. So I listened to that, and let me tell you, I just giggled my whole way through December, and it was amazing, and I loved it. So I highly recommend Authentically Izzy, and I equally enjoyed Positively Penelope.
I love that one so
But
much.
this interview is going to be about Loyally Luke, the third in the series, who, now they are cousins, right?
Actually, Penelope and Luke are brother and sister.
Okay.
Izzy was
That's right.
adopted by them when her parents died.
Okay.
So she is their cousin, but she's been raised kind of as their sibling.
Okay. So before we get started, Pepper, tell us a little bit about yourself for those who don't know you yet.
Yeah.
And a little bit about Loyally Luke.
Okay. So I am an author of historical and contemporary romance. What we're featuring today are some of my contemporary rom-coms. And so I write both of those. I've been writing for a long time, probably since I was about 5 years old. But it took a long time to get to publication. So
How many years? Obviously, and don't start at 5. Like.
No. Well, a long time ago. No. I went to my first conference in 2003.
Okay.
And then really started pursuing publication in 2005.
Okay.
And my first book was published in 2015.
Okay.
So I am currently working on book 27 since then.
That's
so
awesome.
so that would be the book side of me. I'm also a diehard Lord of the Rings fan.
Woo-hoo.
Love Marvel. I adore hanging out with my children. I have 5 children, and they are the best people. I love them and like them, which is not always working in tandem there. And I'm a big Anglophile. For those of you who know me, I love England, Britain, Scotland. I love that.
So you have
too.
so many facets to your
Yeah.
personality.
Oh, and
your
I'm a
love.
speech pathologist by day.
Yes, I guess that's how you write so many different things. You have so many different.
All the hats I'm wearing.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's awesome. So, okay, so Authentically Izzy starts out. She meets somebody online, and so there's a lot of online stuff. Another thing I love about this series is all of the sibling texting back and forth. And cousins and siblings, and it's just delightful. It is just delightful. And you feel like you're in on the group text, and you're just living the story, and it's so much fun. So Luke, Loyally Luke, is his story.
Yes.
So there's Izzy, then Penelope, and then Luke. And tell us a little bit about Loyally Luke.
Okay, so Luke is the lone boy in a family full of girls. So he has his 2 biological sisters, and then he has Izzy. He is in the middle of those ages. So, but he's always been seen, except for the oldest, Josephine, he's always been seen as the big brother. And he's sarcastic, introverted. He's a carpenter, country boy, a manly man with a really, really big, tender heart for the people that he loves, which you learn about through Izzy and Penelope. You get to see his relationship with them. He'll be the tough brother and the sarcastic, teasing brother, but he'll also be, I'm coming to rescue you right now. You need me right now. You know, that kind of thing. So it's really, and he calls in truth when they need it and that sort of thing.
So you fall in love with him, really.
I love
the first
him.
2 books. You just love him,
Yes.
and you're like, does he get a story? And then,
No.
yay, book 3, he does get a story.
Which is unique, I found out. I didn't know it was unique. I should have known this, I think. But I didn't know it was unique to have a male be the main character in a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Because
that's
usually
so
the
true.
female is the main character in a romantic comedy. And it was just such an organic transition to write his story next. I didn't even realize
Yeah.
that
that's a
he's
rare
the
thing.
focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
I will say one more thing if you don't mind.
Please.
I adored writing the relationship between the siblings almost as much as the romance, maybe more than the romance, because we see so many stories about unhealthy sibling relationships that whenever I got to develop them and they're so close and healthy and good, it just makes you want to smile and go, I want something like that.
Yeah.
Right? I just really
I'm
enjoyed
going to text
it.
my brother and
Right, yes.
brothers and sister for me too.
That's
What about
awesome.
you? Do you have?
I had a brother. He passed away 3 years ago unexpectedly, but it was just me and him.
Okay.
Yeah, but we were very close, and he was
Okay.
a great guy. Loved Jesus.
I do remember that. I remember my respect for you and compassion for what you went through. So that was very hard. But y'all were very, very close.
Yes, and he was such a positive, good, bright light. And so I know he's having a great time right now.
Yes.
Heaven's
Yes.
greeter, probably.
Yes. All right. Well, speaking of great guys, I'm going to start off this interview. And by the way, we're going to do a giveaway at the end. Who will have to give away the book?
Ooh.
Will it be Pepper or will it be me? We're going to play a game. That's at the end, so don't let me forget.
Okay.
And then we're going to give away one of these books. If you choose if you give it away, and I'll choose if I give it away.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so right off in your dedication, you
Yes.
dedicated it to your dad, aka Rambo Dad.
Yes.
So tell us a little about him and what made him such a great dad, and what is something that your parents, you feel like they did right, that you took into your own parenting relationship, that you were like, I'm going to do that too?
Yeah, so just so you guys know, Loyally Luke is the last book my dad and I brainstormed together before he unexpectedly passed away in his sleep, not even 2 years ago now. But he was this burly mountain man. I'm Appalachian, so he was this burly mountain man, and exterior-wise, he seemed gruff and don't mess with me, could be very direct. And some people were turned off by that because they didn't like it. But underneath, he was what I perceive, and I guess by example, of the one who's going to take down the dragon for you. If I love you, I'm going to take down the bad guys. I will protect you with my life. I never had to question that he loved me or he would protect me if he had the ability to do so. And when you grow up as a child in a family, especially a daughter, and you have that relationship where you know this is a hero. In my mind, this is a hero. Was he perfect? No. He had plenty of flaws, but the things that were the long-standing hallmark things are what made him a hero in my mind, right? And so anyway, yeah, he was a good guy. And he was a police officer too, so he really did live kind of like a hero sort of job in rescuing. And after he passed away, we had all these police officers show up at his funeral and tell stories about how he was the one who would rush in to save people. And so it just fits what I already knew about him. So anyway, I wanted so badly to write a character that was a manly man who also showed that, it kind of like when you think about Aragorn in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
He's going to fight the dragon for you.
Right.
But he's also going to help bind your wound. And he's also going to help comfort you. You know, it's that combination. And that's what I think is the most healthiest type of masculinity, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, so with him, that's what was so good about him and what inspired, I think, a lot of characteristics in Luke. And my parents, as a whole, I think this is true for any parents who really love Jesus, the best thing they did for me was introduce me to my Savior. And so, and they introduced me to a Savior who is the Savior of the Bible, not some other kind of creation, right?
Not somebody they made up.
Right. But the true one who my dad exemplified a lot of characteristics of. He's going to rescue me. He has rescued me, right?
Yeah.
He's going to fight the dragon, which he's already done.
Right.
You know, and so that, I think, was the very best thing they could have ever done.
It's the best thing you could do for your kids. Just tell them about the Lord who loves them.
And live in a way that they see Jesus. We're going to be flawed. We're going to screw up. I'm a screw up parent.
Yeah.
Big time. But
your kids told me they reached out to. No, I'm kidding.
see. But also that love we learned from them. I saw Jesus in them, and
that's good. That's really good. Okay, so we're doing this interview a little bit different than I do some of our others. Normally, I save the just for fun for later, but I'm just sprinkling them in.
It sounds like a rom-com. It needs to be a rom-com.
Yes, a rom-com.
The fun is sprinkled in all the way through.
Yes.
How about that?
Yes. So I'm going to share just a quote that made me laugh right at the beginning, right from the prologue. Don't read this book. It's embarrassing and private. And that's from Luke. And it already sets the tone. It's so hilarious.
And it was so much him.
Yes, so him. And then his sisters, another quote that I wrote, he's such a brother. So, yeah. I don't even have a question about that, but when I was listening, I just had to write it down.
If you have brothers, you're like,
yes,
you totally
I do have
get
brothers.
That. You're like, yes,
sometimes
that's exactly.
Such a brother. Okay, so just for fun, here's a quote. There were precious few things in life that Luke required. Coffee was one of those things. Yes, me too. No. What about you? Mm-hmm. If you can, what is something in life that you require? If you can, it's just one thing that you ask.
That's sustenance, right?
Yes.
I am not a coffee drinker. I don't like coffee in any form. I'm sorry to say this. So Luke and I would disagree on that. However, I do love tea. I am a dedicated tea lover.
Okay.
That would be the thing.
Okay, and how do you take it?
I like it iced or hot, and it's English breakfast. I don't like flavored tea.
Okay.
So there we go.
Do you take it with milk, sugar?
I do, milk and sugar.
Okay.
I'm a Southern girl.
All right. So here's a quote. His headache sharpened at the very idea of romance. Nope. And so how did you? And that was a quote from the book. How did you meet your husband, and what made you love him?
Yeah. So our story is really. You guys are gonna have to like me anyway. I'm just saying that. My husband came to teach at my high school when I was at my senior year of high school.
Okay.
He had just graduated from college with his teaching degree.
Okay.
And so I was in choir. He was the choir director. And after I graduated, he asked me on a date.
Okay.
And so that's how we started dating. And what drew him to me was that I was one of the few outspoken Christians of that class, and I could have conversations that were more mature, deeper, that kind of thing. And that was something that was like, oh, I haven't been able to find somebody who does that sort of thing. And then about him, the same thing was attractive to me about him is that I love my culture of Appalachia. I love it. But I hadn't been able to find a lot of people in my community, right, where I could have these deeper conversations about faith, and not just about faith, but about different. I liked really weird things for my culture. I liked classical music. I liked jazz. I liked to read Jane Austen. That wasn't a common occurrence within my community, and he had those things. We had these things in interest that we didn't quite fit in that community, and that kind of brought us together.
The perfect puzzle pieces that just fit together.
And I'm the funny.
Okay.
I'm the funny. He's not the funny.
Okay.
He's very serious. I mean,
does he laugh at your jokes?
Sometimes he will. Sometimes he's like, hey.
Pepper.
That's right.
Awesome. I love that. I think that's a great story. Yes, that's a cute story. My parents my dad was a Sunday school teacher and my mom was attending Sunday school.
Ooh.
So yeah.
Hey, same kind of idea there.
Yes.
Except less likely to be arrested.
Okay, so yes, well he waited until you graduated.
Exactly. Exactly.
It was all good, all above board. Okay, so another quote. It's always easier and faster to break things. He shrugged a shoulder. Much harder and longer to rebuild them. So this is a serious question now. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about something that was broken in your life, and how did you rebuild?
Yeah, so I think just being human, we live in a world where we're easy to break things. And I'm going to use an example I've had several relationships in life break. And they really hit you hard, especially friendships that have been long-lasting friendships, and a disagreement happens and the grow apart or break apart in a sudden kind of way. And I think for me, rebuilding was starting up those communications again and setting proper boundaries so that you could know you were moving forward in a healthy way, instead of just my weakness is to piece fake. Okay. Instead of confront something to really heal, it's to throw the rug over it and don't talk about it anymore and just try to move forward. And the best type of healing is where you do address the problem and talk through it and grow through that. So I have a friendship that had the breaking part happen, and that really did. We broke apart what messed things up, and we're able to talk about it instead of just brushing it aside and say, oh yeah, we'll be friends again.
Okay.
Right?
What's your advice to somebody who's had that exact same experience?
Yeah, so I would say that, number one, pray. Number two, is this friendship one you really need to salvage, or you want to salvage? Because I think sometimes we put the pressure, we think it's going to be like it was before, or we think we have to, as Christians, to rebuild a friendship that may not be the right thing to do. And so that's the first question. Is this worth the pursuit? Okay. The second question is, if it is worth the pursuit, how can you pursue that in a way that's going to glorify God? And I think the hardest part is to not be easily offended and come in in a humble kind of way. Because most of the time in relationships, both of us have done something wrong. Right. That's not true always, and I understand that's not true always. But most of the time it is. And so come in with the idea of, Lord, help me learn how I can grow in you in this moment, knowing that my feet are just as much made of clay as that other person's feet are. Yeah. So I'm not coming in with wait, tell me what I did wrong. No, I'm going to fight you on that. Because people don't grow from that kind of attitude. Yeah, that's really good advice. Okay, now another lighthearted. Switch.
So Luke sees somebody and he doesn't really find her on social media, and he's not on social media. He and social media had as well, if she was famous, he wouldn't be able to pinpoint her. He and social media had as non-existent a relationship as his current love life, which suited him just fine. So, what is your relationship with social media? Which one is your favorite one? And
I love social media. I love social media. The reason I like Luke in this way is because my dad was the exact same way, and my brother wasn't a big social media person, and so watching them, they're not a big deal. My husband's not. So, but I love engaging with people. I love being able to see people that I don't get to see in person very often and know what's happening with them. I love relationships that we can build through social media. My favorite is probably Instagram. I love the photo aspect of it, the quick look. Facebook is probably in a second, even though it's not as popular as it once was, because I love the idea you can build the small groups in Facebook and develop relationships at a different level with those.
Yes. Do you have a group that
people
can join?
I have several groups.
Do you want to tell us about one? If somebody wants to come and connect with you?
If you want to connect on Facebook, I have a group called Blame It on a Basham Book. Okay. And so that's where I share early book stuff, and we have conversations, and sometimes we'll talk about swoony kisses. Okay. Things like that. Yeah.
Yes, you're good at those. Okay, at writing them. I assume your husband agrees.
We won't. Yes, I think he's okay with them.
Okay. So, here's another quote. Sometimes the very best things don't come on a list. They come out of nowhere. So, did you write out a list of qualities that you wanted in a husband when you were a kid? Or have you ever written out a list of the kind of life you want? And what is something that seemingly came out of nowhere and surprised you?
Yes, I did write out a list about qualifications for a husband, and so that was really funny. I've not really written out a list about what I want from my life. I didn't do that early on. I don't know. I guess that just seemed too big to think. I had dreams. We all have dreams. I think I'll do this. But writing out a list was not the thing. I'm not a list person anyway. But I did write out a list about the husband thing. And then, what was the other part of that question?
What has surprised you that you never planned for?
Well, I planned to...
Or that, just surprised you.
I planned to be a mother, but I didn't plan to be a mother quite in the ways that I became a mother. And was surprised often, especially with both of my daughters. We were surprised that we got pregnant with both daughters in a very unexpected kind of time period. And so, but I'm so grateful because, we look at that and we think, oh, my plans didn't work. But God's plans are always better.
Yeah.
Right? And so the way he's fit my little 5 kids family together, they're all such close kids. They love each other so much. And that's that I wouldn't have planned.
You couldn't get a better surprise on that.
Exactly,
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay, another serious question. Or another one inspired by the book. Flannel or not, we all mess up, Ellie. We make stupid decisions that impact us in immediate and long-term ways. But we also have the chance to grow from our mistakes. So, and this is kind of a personal question. What's a mistake that you've made, and did you grow from it, and how?
Well, I've made plenty of mistakes as a human being, but one of the ones that I've made has actually been related to writing, where I made a choice to pursue a certain direction of publication that was not the right choice. And it deeply impacted future progress in my writing career, slowed things down, made things harder. And I was taking advice from people that I thought there was a good advice. I didn't do the right research. I didn't ask the right people, and the choice was not the right choice. So it was a big mistake. And how I grew through that, though, is God is so amazing at how he takes even our brokenness. I mean, we can look at that from Joseph's story in the Bible. We think things are too broken, and he's like, oh, no, I got this, because I control everything, and I can take those broken pieces and make it even better than you can imagine. So he took that and taught me that my identity was not wrapped up in this publishing gig. My identity wasn't as a writer, but as his kid. And so it taught me how to hold that looser, so that he didn't have to rip it out of my hands the next time. And I could just give it to him. And so when, in his timing, I was able to get a publishing contract with a larger house, like you're seeing Authentically Izzy, I'm just enjoying the process instead of feeling like I'm being controlled by that need to do the next book, that need to be the next bestseller, that need to
just enjoy the process.
Yes, I'm just having so much joy in it, because that's, you know how little gods come up in our lives all the time. That was a little god, and God was like saying, I'm going to take them away.
That's not real.
That's
not where you need to put your value.
Exactly, because if you do, everything else is misappropriated. And so
that's good. Okay. So the first one has a nod to Lord of the Rings, a big nod, because both of the hero and heroine are lovers of Lord of the Rings, as am I.
Yay! That's great.
So which Lord of the Rings character would you be if you were going to take a personality test?
I know the one I would like to be.
Okay, tell us
but
that.
It's not going to be
Tell us both.
I love Éowyn, but I love her in the books, though. She's a stubborn old thing, and she has her priorities in the wrong place. So you really get to see in the book how what she thought she wanted isn't what she needed. And you don't really see that in the movie. It's still really well done and beautiful and all these sorts of things, and her strength is amazing. I might be a little more on the stubborn side like Éowyn. I really think I am a Samwise personality. And that's a good thing.
Yes, I think he's a hero.
He definitely,
they all had a part to play.
Yes. And I think there's a lot of heroic characteristics in Frodo that you don't see in the movie. He doesn't complain as much, but that he made that choice to do that. He made the choice to do the one thing nobody else wanted to do. All these big guys.
He's the hero too.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of heroes. There's a lot of heroes.
Yes.
Gandalf's a hero.
Yes.
Aragorn is definitely a hero. Hello. But I think for Samwise personality, the reason why I think I'm more like him, or probably Mary or somebody, is that I am a background person, and I love supporting other people, and I love encouraging people. And I see that that's his character more than it is, it's not Aragorn. Aragorn is an encourager because he's more of a definite big time hero. I'm going to rush in and save the people. So
good. I like that. Okay. And here is a quote from the book. My mother used to say that God gifts different people for different jobs so they can use their gifts to their fullest potential. But he's not afraid to stretch us. So how has God stretched you in the last years? Or whenever he stretched you. It doesn't have to be recently.
Last years have been pretty stretchy.
How has it impacted your life and your giftings?
Well, we talked already a little bit about my brother passing away and my dad passing away right after that, not too long. And then in the middle of that, my husband lost his job completely and our finances went completely in half. So the last 3 years have been really stretchy. Yeah. And I think, but also in that time, I got my first contract from Thomas Nelson, and I was getting to write these romantic comedies in the middle of all the suffering.
Wow. How did you write such feel good? Like, I felt all three of them. They're so feel good. How did you write such feel good, wonderful novels when you were going through such a hard time?
I think that I often see grief as a Christian. We can grieve with hope. Mm-hmm. And the only reason we can do that is because we already know the happy ending of the story. Yeah. And so I have such joy mixed in with that sorrow because I look at the loss of my dad and my brother as, look what I got to have for the time I had it. So I do think it's a way we perspective shift, right? Yeah. Some people may look at it on the side of, look what I've lost. Right, and that would cause them to write a different story, because I'm not saying that's wrong, right? But I kept looking at, well, look what God gave me for the time that I had, and because of that hope within grief, it helped me. I think I was writing romantic comedy anyway, but it helped keep that undergird of that joy. Yeah. This story is a story that's got a bigger story. Yeah. Like it's one piece.
Was it therapeutic?
Oh my gosh! This is a
great.
Did
you giggle and cry through writing
I did.
These?
So here's some interesting pieces of this. So my dad died the week Authentically Izzy came out, and my last text from him was on my way back from the Christie Awards. Wow. And because I'd been a finalist, and I didn't win, and that's fine.
For which book, by the way?
Hope Between the Pages.
Okay, she's got really good other genres too.
And so my last text from him says, "I love you, winner." Oh. All right, so that's the last text because he died that night. He died that night, right? And
couldn't leave your kids with a better.
Right. Thing. So what would happen? Izzy releases Thursday. My dad dies on Saturday, and I'm listening to the audiobook for the first time. And the audiobook is fantastic. The narrators are fantastic.
It's so good.
Yeah. And so I'm listening to that, and I'm also editing Penelope at the same time, and all these things. Penelope deals a lot with grief that I didn't know I was going to be experiencing at the time. Yeah. And all these words of comfort and hope and things I believed before my dad died were still true. Yeah. And it was like God's little handprint on my moment to say, I knew you were going to need this. Yeah. Look how much I love you. Yeah. How can you not have joy about that?
That's so beautiful. I love that. Yeah. God is so good.
Amen.
Okay. Okay, so we have some writers that watch the show and listen to the podcast. What is a piece of writing advice that has stuck with you? And you can tell us for better or for worse. A good one or one that you disagree with?
Yeah, so I would say it's very basic, but I want to give two, I think. One is write. You cannot edit a blank page. You cannot submit a blank page. Finish the story. Especially right now, because if it's the first time you're trying to get something published, they're not going to take anything less than a finished manuscript. And it's really easy because procrastination is just fear wearing special shoes. And we try to talk ourselves out of finishing because it's a scary thing to think about actually having other people read our stuff. But if God's given you a story, you need to write it, right? And the only way to get it to submit to anybody is if it's finished. So there's that. The other thing is what we've already talked about what God taught me through my mistakes, is that writing is something you do for Him, but it's not someone you are. Yeah. And it's easy. We do this with everything. We don't just do it with writing, but we get our identities wrapped up in the wrong things. And anytime we do that, and I still struggle with that, I'm not saying I've made it. Heaven is when I'll make it. But we still struggle with where we place our identity. It's like the age-old problem of humanity, is something else is better than God, right? And so writing is a wonderful goal. It's a wonderful dream to have. But make sure you're putting it in its proper place, because whenever we put it somewhere else, it begins to jerk us around instead of us having control over it and that love, you know.
Yeah. Do you see how authentic she is? She's so sharing. That's why you want to go follow her on Instagram, because she really does share from the heart. So sometimes you'll get on and do a reel or a video and just share from your heart, and you bless me every time.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so do you want to play a game with me, a giveaway game?
Okay.
Okay. We're going to do a little, yes, we already talked about it actually. So
yes.
Okay, this is a kind of a pop culture, are you up with the times type of thing.
Oh,
so
wait,
there was
failure right now. I feel it coming.
So it's a trivia. What happened to the movie Constipation?
It got stuck.
Yes, it wasn't a trivia. That was a trick. It never came out.
That's a dad joke right there.
My son actually told me that joke. And
oh my goodness, that sounds like a boy joke. That sounds so much like a boy joke.
So you succeeded.
I did.
You got the answer out.
Clearly, I was not verbally constipated.
Yes. So I'm going to send a book out to the winner of the giveaway. So if you would like to enter the giveaway, go to jennysnow.net/loyallyluke. And so enter it there. Actually, I might, we'll just leave it at Loyally Luke. Hold on. Do jennysnow.net/Pepper Basham. Do that. Because I might let you pick which one you want. If you haven't read book 3, you might want to start with book 1. But it's Christmas time. Don't even wait. If you win the book, great. Use it as a giveaway to a friend that you love, that you want to make laugh and smile. Get the book. Enjoy it over Christmas. It is amazing. They're all 3 so good. And I'll have links in the show notes as well as on Facebook and Instagram. So Pepper, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. It was a delight.
And Merry Christmas to you.
Merry
all.
Christmas.
Have a wonderful December.